Hi. So I just wanted to talk about how to get, not how to get a diagnosis, how hard it can be to get a diagnosis, especially when you've been having a long time illnesses. Some are pretty lucky that you get the diagnosis fairly quick. For me, it took almost 14 years, which is half my life. And um, that can be pretty hard, and that can be it's not a very easy thing, um, because a lot of the time you are obviously unwell, and I wasn't feeling very well, and I felt that I was losing energy, and I felt lazy, and I felt that it was something wrong with me. But my doctors told me I was fine. The doctors told me I was totally okay. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. So a lot of the time over the years, I started thinking it was just in my head, which is kind of natural because I started when I was 14, which is your teenage years, and everything's changing anyway. So I always thought I was just being lazy, or complaining a lot, or just wasn't as strong as the other one at my age. My And it's kind of that's really hard because at the same time I was actually losing control of my body. I didn't have the opportunities that other could do. I was so easily sick, and I was tired all the time, which is not natural for 14 years old. Of course you can be tired, it's not that. They sleep a lot anyway. But I loved to be active. I was horseback riding, I was training my dog, I was doing gymnastics, I was being very active all the time. And suddenly I started getting fatigue. And it was super acute. So I could be going for a walk and my body's just shut down. And that's around the time I got to the doctors, and they could see there was something with my antibodies, which is usually a sign of autoimmune disease. So my mom started talking about the diagnosis of lupus, which is an autoimmune disease that you get diagnosed by rheumatic, and but they were like, no, it's not that at all. It can't be that. And she's too young and she doesn't have all the signs and stuff. And this is when the time I did have the flu, like I think several times a year, and that's not natural. I did have signs of inflammation. I was tired, I had headaches, I had trouble, I had pains in my eyes, I had sores and infections in my mouth, and if I got any kinds of sores, if I scraped my skin, I got an infection. So, but they still were like, no, it's not that. So they put that diagnosis away and started checking for everything else, and I had to be back, and that took like, I can't even count how many blood samples they took. But still, they couldn't figure anything out. So they took a break, and I still got worse. Every year it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I felt like every time I felt something I liked to do, my body would just do something to take it away. So I got allergies for dogs and for horses, and so I couldn't do that. And I got allergies for like a lot of pollen, so I was allergic to trees and grass and everything, stuff like that. So it was hard to be out in nature, and then my body started shutting down. So I got tired every time I was active. I had to sleep all the time. and I do love food. And I guess I got nauseous. I lost appetite and stuff like that. So every time I found something that I liked, my body started to just, I can't do it anymore. I don't like it anymore. So I got afraid of actually starting to like doing something, because I thought my body is just gonna find a way to not do it anymore. So my body was, I was gradually losing control of my body, and I didn't feel connected to my body anymore. Or I started to, you know, separate it from me. So I was talking about my body and I was talking about me, because it felt so strange to, because I couldn't handle it being my body. And I was constantly having pains all over the place, and I thought I was just complaining a lot. And then for it's a little over a year ago, my doctor was just like, okay, we have tried everything, and now we can just try to send you to someone else that we haven't tried before. And they was the first, that was the first diagnosis I got. I was 27 years then, so then it's been 13 years since they started noticing something was wrong. And then I got the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome diagnosis, which is the ligaments in your body that's not functioning right. So my joints are very unstable, my skin is very soft, and it's easy to get joint pains, and like they can also pop out of your, it's very soft, so they can easily pop out. Mine doesn't pop, my joints doesn't pop out. But a lot of my joints are very soft. But we didn't feel that was the diagnosis. It did have a lot of answers to the questions we had. Why I felt so tired, and every time I got tired, I got very elevated, and that's because of the adrenaline. Every time I get tired, my body's trying to fight it. So I get a lot more get a lot more adrenaline. And also they could explain how long time pain can affect your nervous system and how you react to pain. So of course it felt very good, because at that point you can actually get help. In Norway we have an amazing healthcare system compared to, of course, a lot of other countries, but also United States and stuff like that. So in Norway we have an awesome healthcare system, but you need a diagnosis to get help. So that's kind of hard. So because I didn't have a diagnosis, I couldn't really get the help. So they could test me, but since they couldn't figure out what was wrong, I didn't get the right treatment, of course. So we didn't feel the Ehlers-Danlos was the part that bothered my body, because we felt there was something else that wasn't wrong, that wasn't right, that was wrong and wasn't right. So we continued to test, and they figured I had inflammations in my fat tissues, and they figured they finally sent me to a rheumatologist here in my hometown, where we was like, okay, we tried we told her a lot of times we tried to get people to look at the lupus diagnosis again, and people were like, no, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. And she finally sat down, going through the list of all the symptoms or normal symptoms you get, and you have a kind of point system in there. So, and she started counting up points, and before she was halfway through, she was like, okay, it looks like lupus. So we've been going for 14 years. My mom, that was the first diagnosis my mom actually looked into, and they rejected it. And now, I got diagnosis of lupus. I think it's in English, I think it is systematic lupus, which I'm not really sure. SLE. You can Google it. Which is the kind of lupus that affects the whole system in your body. That's not my checks come from. That's another part. So I finally got a diagnosis, and I thought, this is it. Now I don't really have to, go through all the tests. I can have answers to everything, and I do have answers to a lot of the questions, a lot of the problems I do have, which is amazing. It's great. But the thing is, now I have to figure out how the medication to actually make my body work. And since I'm getting older, my body's getting gradually worse. And I was so excited about trying out medications to make my body. I was hoping it was gonna work, and then it didn't, and I have to do it all over again. And I feel like it's a new kind of testing. Just this medications can. There's a side effect that it can actually make your body worse and make you feel worse. And I don't think I was actually mentally prepared for that. I was just hoping to get better. I was just hoping to maybe work. My body was supposed to, so I can have a normal day, have energy to do something, to do the things I love and like. So it's not very easy, even though I've gotten a diagnosis. The third diagnosis I got, actually within the same year. That's my dick. Yeah, it's the tourettes diagnosis, which is not very normal to get in as an adult. And we think, because I've been through so much testing on my physical problems, it's just gotten in between that, because it wasn't very visible when I was a teenager. I did have a few tics, but I was kind of hiding it a lot because I was already so much different, or I thought I was kind of different from everyone else. So I was hiding a lot of it, and I thought, this is just great stuff I do. But then over the years, my body's been through so much stress, or that's what I think. It's been through so much stress, and the last year it's been a lot. So it's just gradually getting worse, and then suddenly it was just a tipping point or something. Then my body all tics exploded. It was so many new things. I was having constant tics, and I was having verbal tics, and I was having like full words and sentences. So that's when I got the diagnosis of Tourette's, which is very unusual, but it does happen. I've seen several people just have one or two tics up through the years, and then suddenly they get they got tics. They got fuck off, fuck me. They get fuck, beep, beep, and they get the diagnosis in adult age, because the tics suddenly explode and they start doing all this weird stuff. So yeah, that's and the weird thing is, Ehlers-Danlos and lupus is what you call an invisible illness, and usually they are. So people can't really see it, and I was like, okay, if I just had if I had broken my arm or something, people would actually see how it hurt. But people saw me as young and healthy, and I felt like I was 90 years old. So because I couldn't, I had to sit down at the bus because I was so exhausted all the time, and I felt so bad if people, because you feel you have to get up your seat if it's full, and you can't really ask to get to sit down, because you look healthy, and you can't people just look at you as lazy if you just want to sit all the time. So that was kind of hard, and I was like, okay, if only people could see the illness, it would be easy to get exceptions in the society. And then I got a lot of tics, and now people see me all the time, which is ironic. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to be that visible, but I don't want to be insulting people, because now people think I'm crazy when I tell everyone to steal their babies or kick their dogs or fuck their cats. So yeah, that's fun. I did have something else I wanted to talk about. I'm just gonna check what that was. Yeah, I didn't think it was anymore. But if you really feel ill, if you really feel like you're sick, you definitely should go to the doctor. And it's not, of course, you do have some illnesses that are in your head, but not all of them are, and you just have to keep hold. If you're sure, you're sure, and stick to it. And if you have people that can help you, be with you, go with you to the doctors and help you get through the system, you definitely should have that. I did have my mom follow me through all this, and she was a big help to actually get through to the doctors and tell me it's not just in your head, your body is actually sick, and you can see it on a blood test, and the doctors are now telling you that you are. So it was a lot of help. And my other family was also very helpful, supporting me through it and helping me with the stuff I needed, and yeah, so that was great. So that was that. I hope you all have a good day, and I'm gonna do another one soon. Bye.